Hi, this is Sweet June coming back at you with another interesting video topic. This is my Poverty in America series. This is my new series. It's my series that I am doing called Poverty in America. So when you see Poverty in America in the title, I'm going to talk about something related to the poverty situation here in America. It's a serious situation, and I want to address it, and it's something that needs to be addressed in multiple videos. It's not just because it's just different aspects to poverty, different aspects and different things to poverty. So I really want to address the poverty situation here in America. So I decided to make this my series. So this is my Poverty in America series that I want to talk about today, and that is homelessness. Everybody has a story. We should not judge homeless people. Um, Everybody has a story. I've been watching this channel. You guys need to, if you got some time, it's called Invisible People. The channel's called Invisible People here on YouTube. I've been getting kind of hooked. I've been getting kind of hooked on this channel. I've been, what this person's doing. I think this person that has his channel, he used to be homeless. And what he does is he go around different places, different cities, and he interviews homeless people. And it's really an eye opener. I know I've been watching a lot of them at work, and I'm getting kind of hooked on them. I mean, it's really interesting to hear the different stories on how, and everybody got a different story, and everybody got a different story on how they became homeless. Um, what happened to them? You know, some of them have had a major loss of a loved one, a family member, or whatever. It's really interesting to hear the different stories. I'm getting kind of hooked on this channel. I'm really hooked on it, and because it's really an eye opener. Um, we have a serious homeless problem here in America, and it's growing more and more. The homeless situation here in America is getting worse and worse. We've actually read a couple of articles on it. Um, they said the homeless population is increasing and it's getting worse and worse. And the city that I live in is a small, like I stated in the other videos, it's a small city. And I've lived here all my life, and some of the things that I see now that I didn't see about 20 years ago, you know, some of the things that's going on here, and I didn't see in this city 20 years ago. And now when I'm riding down the street, I'm finding that there's people standing out there. You know, when I used to go to Chicago or LA or other big cities, you know, you would see people like that. And it's typical. It's typical. It's always been typical in bigger cities and larger cities. But never really seen that here in my city. But now I'm starting to see that. I'm starting to see the same things that I'm seeing in larger cities. People standing on different corners in front of businesses, and they're holding signs, and they're saying they're homeless. I know there's a gas station here where I'm at, and I don't go to the gas station anymore because I used to go to the gas station, but this particular gas station, there's a lot of homeless. There's like a hotel across the street from it, and a lot of homeless hang out at this hotel. The hotel is like probably about 2 stars. It's like on the lower end. Um, and a lot of homeless people live at this hotel, and they kind of congregate at this hotel, and so a lot of times they're standing outside this hotel holding the sign, and there's a gas station across the street from it. Well, every time, you know, most of the time when you go to that gas station, you know, people are coming up to your car, and you know, I used to give money all the time. They used to have a Kmart across the street from that. They've closed the Kmart. Um, so sometimes when I would go to that Kmart or I would go to that gas station, they would come up to my car, and and that's kind of scary when they walk up on you like that. When they walk up on you like that, when they walk up to your car, you don't know if they got a knife. You don't know what the situation is going to be. Or as you're walking in a gas station or a store, they just kind of walk up on you. I know one time I was in the Kmart parking lot and somebody just walked up on me. And that's scary. That's kind of scary because you don't know what they're going to do. But most of the time, 9 times out of 10, they're asking you for money. And I used to, give them money here and there. My son chewed me out. My oldest son chewed me out one time. And he's like, Mom, stop giving them money. Stop, you sit up here, you reach it in your purse. They can jack you, they can gank you and, jack you and take your purse and all that kind of stuff. And you're going to mess around and get yourself mugged. Stop giving the people money. So one day he just kind of gave me a whole lecture on it and he chewed me out about it. So I kind of quit doing it after that, because I mean, some of them are out there because they're on drugs, but some of them, everybody has a story. And like I said, here in my city, they're out there holding up signs, um, and you see them in various different places throughout the city. Depends on where it's at. Um, they're holding up signs and things like that. Like I said, they congregate at that hotel, and there's another hotel here. Um, that was actually right next to the police department. And I had a client actually when I was doing home care. I had a client at that hotel, and a lot of homeless people live at this hotel. And it's like going to this hotel. It's like a different world. It's like a totally different world. I'm really shocked that we even have that here. And that's what made me realize how much of an epidemic it is. It is starting to come to the smaller cities, and I personally don't think that homelessness should not be a problem in this city that I'm in, because I don't know, I just think a smaller city should have better resources to give people. It should have better resources and better housing opportunities for people to get into housing. I don't know, I just think with a smaller city, people, it shouldn't be a issue. People should have housing. So I'm a little shocked because I'm thinking, okay, this is a smaller city. This is not Detroit. This is not Chicago. There should be more resources available to help people, and people shouldn't be on the street like this. This is ridiculous. But and I know, like, it's the city next to the city that I live in. Over the summer, they were talking about they were out there sleeping in the park, and they were trying to kick them out of the park. So I was a little concerned about, I'm like, okay, well, what are they going to do in the wintertime when it gets cold? Where are these people going to go? And so I was really, really concerned about where the people were going to go in the wintertime. It's wintertime and it's cold outside. I don't know where these people are living, or where they. I know here they have like a kind of like a warming, a place that they can go to during the day. It's like a warming center. They can go in, they can get warm, and it's like someplace they can go during the day. But what about at night? And they do have a couple. They have a men's shelter here, and then they have a shelter for families, and then they have a shelter for domestic violence women. But if you're a victim of domestic violence, you can stay in that shelter. But they have a women and children's shelter, um, and then they have a men's shelter. But that's it. And so I don't know how the shelter system works here, um, but I know in other cities you have to come and register and ahead of time, and then they can only take so many people. And um, I like to think we don't have that many homeless people, but I've seen quite a bit. I've been seeing quite a bit, and it's that lets me know how much of a serious epidemic this homeless situation is in the United States. If it's if it's getting bad in smaller cities, it's bad. It's bad because I never seen that here. I never used to see that. I never used to see people out holding up signs and things like that. Um, a few years ago, I didn't see stuff like that here. I seen it in the larger cities, but I didn't see it here. But now I'm starting to see it here. So that lets me know that it's becoming a major problem in America. The economy done got worse. I don't care what they say, all that propaganda or what they saying on TV or whatever. The economy is not better. It's worse. It's not better. Because why are we having more and more homeless people? A lot of it is due to the housing crisis. Housing is getting very, very expensive. In Los Angeles and New York actually are where they have the largest homeless populations in those cities. And let's see, I wrote down 564,708 homeless people in America altogether. That's in America. Now, those might not be the exact numbers because you got homeless people that are living with family members. You got homeless people that I don't know if they're counting people that are they just counting people on the street or are they counting people? Some people are stacked up at the hotel. Some people are stacked up with family members. So that there might be more than that. You know, New York and Los Angeles has the highest homeless rates. Did you know that? New York and Los Angeles has the highest homeless rates, with New York being higher than Los Angeles because the housing cost is much higher. It's higher in New York than it is Los Angeles, but those places are probably the most expensive places to live in America. Is New York and Los Angeles. I love Los Angeles. Um, haven't been to New York yet. That's my goal. It's on my bucket list. If I don't go this year, I'm going next year. Keep you guys posted. As of 2015, we had, now they keep changing this number. In other videos, I said it was 49 million. They keep changing this number. This number keeps fluctuating. I don't know. It said it was 49 million. I've heard 49 million. I've heard 50 million. They said as of 2015, 43.1 million people lived in poverty. That was as of 2015. Now, I believe it is. I believe it's more closer to the 50 million range. That's all the people that's living in poverty. Now they're probably basing that stat on the census. You know, where everybody come around, the census takers come around, and you got to fill this form, and they threaten you and say if you don't fill it out, you're going to jail or whatever type of stuff like that. You know, and then they have people come around. They'll send it to you in the mail, or I think the last time I did mine online, I think it was. You can either do it online or you can do it in the mail, and they actually have somebody come to your house and they threaten you. If you don't do it, you're going to jail or you're going to be fined or whatever, some stuff they be saying. So I think I'm assuming that's, I don't know, maybe that's how they're gathering that stat by doing the census. But I believe it's more than that. I believe there's more people in this country than that that's in poverty. But this channel, if you guys get the chance, it's called Invisible People here on YouTube. Check it out. It's a real eye opener. It's really interesting to hear the different stories. He interviewed this one guy, and it was really sad. It almost brought me to tears. I think he lost his wife. He lost a 5-year-old son. He lost his older son because his older son was in the war. So he lost his older son in the war. Then he said he had just found out he had pancreatic cancer. It was just so sad just listening to this man's story. And then his spirit was just phenomenal. He was like, towards the end of the video, he was like, well, yeah, you got to find a reason to smile, you know. I'm like, wow, after all this stuff he's going through, he's talking about finding a reason to smile, you know. I was like, wow, what amazing. I said, some of us that have a roof over our head, we take a lot of things for granted, you know. And it makes me meditate and marinate on the things that we take for granted. He interviewed this one lady and she was talking about the challenge of trying to get a hot shower and stuff like that. And I was like marinating and meditating on that. And I was like, wow, that's deep. I said, you know, I can't imagine not being able to get a hot shower. I mean, and I thought about the things that we take for granted, you know, the things that we take for granted. Not just like we having a roof over our head, but being able to get a hot shower. Just being able to, you know, we come home like it ain't nothing and jump in the shower like it's nothing. I mean, it's like the things that we take for granted. And being able to have a warm bed to sleep in, you know, just being able to come home and have a warm bed to sleep in. And these people have a hard time, they got to stack up in tents, and it's, of course, it's dangerous um, for a man and a woman to be homeless, but it's more dangerous for women because he was interviewing some of the women, and the women was like saying they were getting raped and they were getting violated, and it's just something that I never really thought about before, because if you've never been homeless, then you really don't really think about, you really don't take the time to really think about what homeless people have to really go through. And I would encourage everybody to watch this channel. It's called Invisible People, and it's a real eye opener. And it just, I know after I watched a lot of these stories and a lot of these testimonies, it just made me think of, because I know I've been struggling for the last 20 years of my life, and I came close to being homeless a few times myself. I came close, but by the grace of God, He made a way. He provided a way. I know my second apartment I stayed in, I got severely behind in my rent, and the landlord was gracious enough to let me still stay there and just pay whatever I can pay. And I just thank him for that. Um, but God, put it on His heart to do that for me. And He could have very easily have thrown me out. This was way back when I was in my 20s, and it was a blessing. He was gracious enough to let me stay there, and everything. And so I really appreciate Him for that. And so, I mean, I came close. I came close, and so thank God, like I said, Jehovah God just, intervened, and He didn't allow me to get put out. But and I've, been struggling over the last few years. I've talked about it on here, and it made me want to, because there's various different times I've gotten frustrated and everything like that, because I'm not where I thought I would be in my life financially. And it just made me, looking at these testimonies, just made me think about how blessed I really am. That no matter what your income level is, if you have a roof over your head, if you have a warm bed to sleep in, if you have food to eat, I know at various different times food got tight. Food got a little tight and everything. And I ain't gonna lie, I ain't gonna front. There's times I've had to hit up um, the food lines and stuff, where they give out the food. Um, we got a food pantry here in town that has a restaurant. The casino owns a restaurant. We have a casino here in this town, and the casino owns the restaurant. And this restaurant does a food pantry like every Monday, and I've hit them up a couple of times. I'm not gonna front. I ain't gonna front. If you need it, get it. And then they have another one at a church here, and they do this one twice a week, and they give out fresh fruits and vegetables. You know, and it really helps because you know fruits and vegetables are very expensive. And I've went down there and got a whole thing, like over the summer. I went and got a whole big old thing of cherries that it would have cost me over $10 to get in the store. So ain't no shame in my game. If I'm gonna do what I gotta do. And there's nothing wrong with going to those places. But it just make me, when I look at those videos and those different testimonies, it just make me count my blessings. Um, the things that we take for granted, like having a hot shower, uh, having a warm bed to sleep and clothes on your back, you know, um, having a home to come to. This one lady was saying, well, what bothered her more than anything is not having no place to go. Like she would get off work, and a lot of these people, homeless people, believe it or not, are working. A lot of them are working. There's a good percentage of them that are working. And she was, I look at the people going home and everything, and then by me not having nowhere to go, and it's heartbreaking listening to some of these stories. I mean, like I say, do not judge homeless people, and people are so harsh on poor people, and people living in poverty in this country are judged so harshly. People just, for some reason, in the United States, people look down on poor people in this country. The poor people in this country are terribly judged and looked down upon. And in other countries, like I think it is Norway. I think Norway is one of the countries. Some of these other countries really take care of their people that's in poverty. I mean, they're doing things that the United States is not doing. They're providing free health care. They're doing things to take care of their poor people, and as a result, they have a very, very low poverty rate. You know, um, but United States, this is a very, very cold-hearted country. I don't care. I mean, I don't care. I don't know what you guys think, but it's a very cold-hearted country. It's a very greedy country. Everything is about money here. The poor people are looked down upon and judged no matter how hard you work. If you are a certain income level, then you're still looked at as lazy and you need to do something to get yourself out of the situation, like it's so simple and it's so easy. And this country is terrible with that. And my thought is, when I looked at these different people's stories and listened to these different testimonies and these different people telling their stories, it just made me realize everybody got a story. Like, we have stereotypes in our mind about a homeless person to being a drunk person or being a person that's on drugs. Not all of them are out there on drugs. Yeah, you do have some homeless people that are on drugs and have problems with drinking. And when you give them money, they might be taking that money to go buy themselves something to drink or go buy them some drugs or whatever. But you do have legitimate homeless people out here that they're not on drugs. They really have fell upon hard times. The problem is trying to tell the difference. The problem is trying to tell the difference between the ones that are on drugs. I try to look at them, look in their eyes and everything. It's hard to tell sometimes. But I know when I was in Chicago, when I worked at the daycare, we went on a staff trip to Chicago. And it was one of the many times. I've been to Chicago many times. But this time, we were downtown and we were walking and I seen this woman. She was in a corner. She was sitting by a building and she was in a corner and she had her baby with her. She had her baby and she had like a sign up, It was just heartbreaking. I mean, but we had to keep it moving. I mean, in the city, when you're in the city, you got to keep it moving. And, we had to keep it moving and everything, but it was just so sad. It was just so sad to see that. And it's heartbreaking. I mean, it's heartbreaking. I mean, I said, sometimes I wish I had billions and billions of dollars just to just help people, to pull people out of poverty, help build. I know some cities are doing tiny homes. Tiny homes is becoming a trend. I did a video a while back talking about tiny home, and some cities are actually starting to do that. They're starting to put tiny homes up for the homeless people, and that might be a possible solution. That put tiny homes up for these people, but it's just terrible. This is an epidemic here in the United States, and this is supposed to be the richest country in the world. Yeah, whatever. And so, but I think it's because, like I said, this country just looks down on poor people and view all poor people as being lazy and everything like that, and don't want to help them. You know, um, so I know when Jesus come back, the playing field is going to be level. You're not going to have people that have billions of dollars and then have somebody that doesn't even have a home to live in. The playing field is going to be level. So I know in the next system, when Jesus come back, the, the playing field is going to be level. It's not going to be like it is now. But I really, really wish that people could get help in this system. I mean, it's just sad. And like I say, do not judge homeless people. Everybody has a story. You know, don't look down on poor people that's in poverty. Don't look down on, because some of these people, when he was interviewing some of these people were working. Some of these people had jobs. Some of these people had master's degrees. Yes, some of them had masters. They interviewed this man. He had a master's degree, and he was out on the streets. So getting a college education don't mean nothing. When I be reading these blogs and they like, well, you need to go to college. I went to college. I didn't finish. Okay, and some of these people had master's degrees. Some of them had 2 master's degrees. Now you would think somebody with a master's degree would be making a little coops of money, but a college education don't guarantee nothing. These colleges are in the business of making money. They don't care whether you get a job. They don't care whether you maintain a job. They want to do is make money. They don't care about you getting racked up in student loan debt. They do not care. They just want to make the money. You know, that's all they care. These colleges are a business just like everything else. Just like every greedy thing in this country, they're in the business to make money. They don't care about the students. Once you graduate, they can care less whether you find a job or not, or whether you maintain a job or whatever. They don't care about your student loan debt. They just don't care. As long as they got their money, and that's all they care about. So I still don't knock a college education, but at the same time, it's no guarantee. It's no guarantee that you're not going to live in poverty. You know, I thought that now looking back a few years ago when I first started back to college, by this time in my mind, I'm thinking by the time my son graduated, I thought I was going to be making both coops of money. I thought I was going to be sitting pretty, but I'm not. You know. Um, and I get a little frustrated sometimes because I'm very, very grateful for the job that I have now. Um, but sometimes I try not to think about that too much because I go to thinking about it, I get depressed. I didn't go to school to do what I'm doing now. I didn't have to go to school to do what I'm doing now. I didn't need a college education to do what I'm doing now. And um, so yes, it is frustrating, but at the same time, I'm very, very grateful that I have a job, and it just makes me count my blessings when I look at these people's testimony. Um, we take a lot of things for granted, you know, and the Bible says, "Be content with sustenance." Sustenance means the basics: roof over your head, clothes on your back, food to eat, a warm shower, a warm house. I know one winter I went without heat in my house because I couldn't afford to get my furnace broke down. I couldn't afford to get it fixed. That was a nightmare. So I'm just happy to have heat in my house, you know. So the things that little things like that we take for granted, we had a tendency to take for granted. We got to count our blessings. You know, we have to count our blessings, and there's people out there that don't have nothing. They have nothing. And just watching the different testimonies are just an eye opener. Some of them are out there. They're disabled. They're sick. Um, it's just really sad. It just some of them just makes you really heartsick and just makes you want to cry. Just listening to some of the stories and testimonies. And not all stories. Everybody's situation is different. You know, everybody got a story. So think about it. Don't judge poor people. Don't judge homeless people. You never know. Everybody has a story, and you never know what situation that people are in. We got to show a little bit more compassion. We got to show a little bit more kindness because that's what Jesus would have done. You know, Jesus didn't just talk to the rich people. Jesus talked to everybody, you know. He healed the sick and all that. He didn't just deal with rich people. When somebody was sick, he didn't say, "Well, how much money you got? You ain't got enough money for me to heal you." No, Jesus wasn't like that. Jesus dealt with sick people of all, didn't matter how much. Well, back then they had, I don't know if they even had money back then. I know you had so much cattle or whatever that was considered money back then, I think. I don't know. I don't know how it worked. They didn't have money like we do now, you know. But Jesus didn't do that. He didn't look down on someone because they didn't have anything. And just like the woman that was bleeding, that had the bleeding problem. Back then, you know, if you read certain scriptures in the First Testament, I think it was in the First Testament, where they say if a woman is bleeding, a woman is unclean when she's bleeding, and they say you shouldn't even sit in the same place where a woman is bleeding, that the woman should be isolated for so many days if she bleeding, because a bleeding woman was considered unclean, back in those days. And so if a woman was bleeding, then she isolated herself, because that was the major thing, uncleanliness. So she had a continual bleeding problem, and she touched Jesus' garment. Now Jesus could have said, "Excuse me, why you touching my garment?" He could have chewed her out for that. You bleed and everything. You touching my What's wrong with you? You got me messed up. I mean, Jesus could have went off on her. He could have went off on her, but he healed the woman. He healed her, and he could have went off because she shouldn't. He said, "You ain't got no business touching my garment," but he healed her. So that's the loving compassion that Jesus showed people. And if we love God, and we got any kind of godness, a love of God in our heart, we are supposed to be footstep followers to Jesus Christ. The Bible says be footstep followers to Jesus Christ. So that means that we're supposed to be doing what Jesus did. Jesus used to wash people's feet. He washed feet. He didn't say, well, I'm the Son of God. I don't wash feet. I don't do that. You got me messed up. You know what I'm saying? He didn't do that. He washed people's feet. And some of us think that we're too good to, like some people, I'll tell some people about, my job is they've got a big turnover and they be looking for people. And yes, it does involve wiping booties. Some people got a problem with that. Some people be like, well, nah, I don't know if I don't do that. Hey, it needs to be done. Somebody got to do it. My thought is somebody got to do it. It need to be done. I'm able to do it. And if they're paying me to do it, then hey, these people need care. They need care. I'm blessed enough to be here to do it. I'm gonna do it. I ain't got no problem with it. Not what I went to school for, but oh well. Like I said, I don't even get too caught up in that. But I don't think I'm too good to do something like that. I mean, some people, they get on their high horse. I don't want to do that. I don't want to. I ain't wiping nobody's butt out. Well, when you get old, you might need somebody to wipe your booty out. You know, you never know. You don't know, never could know what kind of shape you're gonna be in. You don't know what kind of situation you be in. I might need somebody to wipe my booty one day. I don't know. So my point is that we should be humble. Jesus was humble and he washed people's feet. So if Jesus can be humble enough to do that, and he was the Son of God, he could have very easily have said, "What? Please." But he was the Son of God, and he could have very easily have gotten on a high horse. But Jesus was humble. He humbled himself, and he washed people's feet. And so if Jesus can do that, we're not higher than Jesus. We can definitely be humble enough to do that, and have in it, even having compassion for the people that's poor, or the people that are less fortunate than we are. You know, even if you don't have the money to help them, because everybody going through something. We all going through something. Even though we don't have the money to help them, a little prayer doesn't hurt. Say a little prayer for them, because sometimes that's all you can do for somebody is pray for them. And I believe in the power of prayer. The power of prayer is very, very powerful. And sometimes if you're not able to help them financially, say a little prayer for them. Show some compassion. But all this judgment, you read the blogs and you got people judging and all this kind of stuff. It's just crazy. It's cold-hearted. And we just got to show a little bit of compassion. If you have the love of God in your heart, or you think you got the love of heart, or you say you got the love of God in your heart, then you don't have no business looking down on nobody. You need to have people more. We need to have more compassion in this world. We need to show more humbleness because that's what Jesus did. Just a little food for thought for you. I'm not done talking about doing these types of videos. Like I said, this is my series, Poverty in America. This is my little series. So I'm not done talking about it. I'm going to be talking about some more issues and coming up and coming videos and things like that. But I got other topics I'm going to address. So stay tuned, like and subscribe and share my videos. I promise you, I got some more interesting video topics coming up. Stay tuned. This is Sweet Jenny.